when a man tried to push around a woman at the gym. He had no idea she was a Navy SEAL. What happened next left everyone in the room stunned. The Midtown Fitness Center in Phoenix buzzed with the usual after-work crowd. Machines clanked. Sneakers squeaked on rubber floors. Music played quietly in the background. Among the regulars was Kendra, a 34-year-old black woman who moved with calm focus and quiet strength. Her workouts were sharp and exact. Deadlifts, burpees, pull-ups. She didn't chat. She didn't linger. She never tried to stand out. Today was just like any other. Kendra wore simple black leggings and a tank top, earbuds in, face calm, a clear sign she wasn't there to socialize. As she adjusted weights on the squat rack, a man walked up. He came over like a dark cloud, unwanted, mid-40s, broad shoulders, clearly someone who spent hours in the gym. But something about him felt off. The way he smirked when she saw him made her stand a little taller. "You're doing that wrong," he said, his tone full of arrogance. Kendra raised one eyebrow and took out an earbud. "Excuse me?" she asked calmly. "The weights," he said, waving his hand. "You're not setting them upright. You could hurt yourself." Kendra gave a small, polite smile. "Thanks, but I've got it." He didn't back off. He folded his arms and stood next to her like he owned the space. "I've been coming here for years," he said. "Let me show you how it's done." "No need," Kendra replied firmly, putting her earbud back in and turning to her barbell. His smirk faded into a scowl. He muttered something under his breath. She couldn't hear it, but she felt the energy shift. A few people nearby looked over, noticing the tension, but no one stepped in. It was one of those moments where everyone tells themselves, "It's not my problem." Kendra kept going, her movement smooth and focused, but the man stayed close, watching with a mix of annoyance and disbelief. Every time she switched exercises, he found some reason to follow. More muttering, more comments she chose to ignore. Then it happened. Kendra moved to the bench press, setting her weights. That's when he spoke loud enough for others to hear. "Women like you think they know it all, huh?" She paused mid-move. Slowly she turned, her face calm, but her eyes sharp. "What exactly does that mean?" she asked. The gym seemed quieter. Even the sound of weights and background chatter felt like it had faded. A few heads turned, people curious but unsure. The man shrugged, seeming to enjoy the attention. "I'm just saying," he said, "maybe you should stick to what you're good at." Kendra didn't react. She just looked at him, long and steady. Then she calmly went back to her workout. But now the air felt heavy, like a line had been drawn, and it wouldn't be long before someone stepped over it. He didn't stop. His words hung in the air, like a bad smell, making everyone uneasy. Kendra felt his eyes on her, like an extra weight on her back. She finished her set, ignoring the pressure, and walked over to the water fountain. It wasn't far, but it gave her just enough time to think things through. She knew men like him, cocky and secure, always needing control wherever they went. She wasn't scared. Her years of training had taught her how to stay calm in any situation. But that didn't mean she didn't feel the heat rising in the room as she reached for her water bottle. The man followed her. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, his jaw tight with anger. "Hey," he snapped, "I'm talking to you." Kendra stopped. Her hand tightened around the water bottle, but she didn't look at him. Instead, she calmly took a sip, then screwed the cap back on. Every move was slow and controlled. The gym felt silent, like everyone was waiting. But Kendra knew not to let things get out of hand. "Look," he said again, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You don't have to act so tough. If you're having trouble, just say it. I can help." Kendra finally turned to him, her voice cool and steady. "Struggling? The only thing I'm struggling with is your refusal to leave me alone." A few people nearby paused their workouts. They sensed something had changed. The air felt heavy with unspoken questions. Was he going to stop? Would she let it go? The man laughed, but it was cold and fake. You think you're better than me? He barked, stepping closer. What makes you so special? Kendra narrowed her eyes, but her voice stayed calm. Nothing makes me special, but I know how to take care of myself. Do you? That hit a nerve. His face darkened. He took another step toward her, his voice low and threatening. You better watch your mouth. Now the tension was thick. People had stopped pretending not to notice. A young man on a treadmill looked over, glancing between Kendra and the man, clearly unsure if he should step in. Kendra met his eyes and gave a tiny shake of her head. She didn't need help. Not yet. But the man wasn't just angry anymore. He was losing control. And everyone could feel how close things were to getting out of hand. His fists clenched. He took another step forward, breaking into her personal space. Kendra didn't move. She stood tall, eyes locked on his, calm, firm, unbothered. It wasn't anger. It was trained control. A clear message. She wasn't scared. You've got a smart mouth, don't you? He shouted, loud enough for his voice to bounce off the gym walls. By now, everyone was on edge. Some staff whispered behind the counter, unsure if they should step in. Others just froze, wanting to help, but not knowing what to do. Kendra took a breath and let it out slowly. You need to calm down, she said, her tone steady and firm. It wasn't a suggestion, but her calm only seemed to make him angrier. He suddenly grabbed her arm, roughly. Gasps spread across the gym. Kendra didn't react right away. She stood still, calculating her next move. What are you going to do about it? He sneered, tightening his grip. That's when everything changed. Kendra moved fast. So fast, he didn't see it coming. Her free hand shot up, locking around his wrist like steel. In one smooth motion, she twisted his arm, forcing him to let go. His eyes went wide, his face twisted in pain and surprise. Kendra stepped back, out of reach but fully in charge. Let me be clear, she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. You never put your hands on me. Ever. The man stumbled back, holding his wrist, his tough guy act falling apart. But instead of walking away, he let out a wild roar and lunged at her. This time, Kendra didn't hold back. She sidestepped easily, using his own speed against him. With one quick move, she swept his legs from under him, and he hit the mat hard. The gym exploded into chaos. Some people shouted, others backed away. A few grabbed their phones and started recording. The man groaned, dizzy and embarrassed, as Kendra stood tall over him. Kendra stood firm, her posture strong and steady. You really don't know when to quit, she said, her voice low enough that only he could hear. For a second, he looked like he might try something again, but the look in her eyes stopped him cold. She wasn't just confident. She was trained, dangerous. He realized it too late, but the fear on his face said it all. It didn't matter now. Everyone in the gym had seen what happened, not just his aggressive behavior, but how badly he'd been humiliated by someone he had completely underestimated. The gym buzzed with whispers, phones still recording, screens lighting up. Kendra stood tall, her breathing calm as she looked around. She didn't look shaken. She looked in control, like she was silently daring anyone else to try the same thing. The man, still on the floor, scrambled his feet. His face was a mess of anger, shame, and confusion. You're crazy, he shouted, pointing at her like a wild animal in a corner. You think you can just... Enough! Kendra cut in, her words sharp like a blade. You've embarrassed yourself enough. Leave. Finally, someone from the staff stepped forward, a young woman, hands trembling. Sir, she said nervously, you need to go. Now. The man clenched his jaw. For a second, it looked like he might fight back. But then he saw the crowd. All the eyes on him. Some angry, others clearly disgusted. His shoulders dropped. He mumbled something no one could understand, grabbed his bag from the bench, and stormed toward the exit. He slammed the door so hard on his way out that it rattled in the frame. The moment the door closed, The whole gym seemed to breathe again. Someone started clapping. Then another. Soon, a soft wave of applause rolled through the room. Kendra raised a hand. "It's over," she said simply. The crowd started to break up. Some people returned to their workouts, others still whispering, occasionally glancing in her direction. A young man walked up, his phone still in his hand. "That was amazing," he said, wide-eyed. "Are you like some kind of fighter or something?" Kendra gave him a small smile, but her eyes stayed serious. "Something like that," she replied, offering no more. Another person, a middle-aged woman, approached. "Are you okay?" That was really scary to watch. "I'm fine," Kendra said calmly. "Thanks for asking." Then the young woman from the front desk came over again, still looking nervous. "Ma'am, I'm really sorry," she said. "I should have done something sooner. I just didn't know what to do." "You did what you could," Kendra interrupted, her tone softening. "Not everyone knows how to handle situations like that." The woman nodded, but still looked uneasy. "We should probably call the police, though. What if he comes back?" Kendra thought for a moment. "No need," she said finally. "He's not coming back. Trust me." There was something in her voice. Calm, sure, final. No one doubted her. She turned and walked toward the locker room. But even as she left, the tension still hung in the air. People whispered. People thought. And they all knew they had just witnessed something they wouldn't forget. Inside the locker room, Kendra walked with purpose. She reached for her gym bag and caught a reflection in the mirror. Her face was calm, composed. No pride, no gloating. This wasn't about showing off. It was about sending a message. Respect isn't optional. She packed in silence, letting the last bits of adrenaline fade away. Just as she zipped her bag, the young woman from the front desk appeared again. Her name tag read Tara. She stood awkwardly in the doorway, fidgeting with her shirt. "Can I ask you something?" Tara finally said. Kendra turned toward her, her gaze steady but kind. "Sure." Tara hesitated, then blurted, "How did you stay so calm? He was so aggressive, and you just handled it. Like how?" Kendra leaned back against the bench, crossing her arms. "It's not about staying calm," she said. "It's about knowing you can handle yourself. Fear doesn't hold you when you're ready." Tara tilted her head, curious. "So you're trained? Like military?" Kendra gave a slight nod. "I serve as a Navy SEAL for over 10 years. I've been in worse situations than what you saw out there." Tara's eyes widened. "Wow, that explains a lot. But it's not just the training." Kendra added seriously. "It's knowing when to act and when to let things go." He wasn't just angry. He was insecure. People like that look for easy targets. But when you show them you're not one, they freeze. They don't know what to do. Tara nodded slowly, taking in Kendra's words like a quiet truth she hadn't heard before. "I wish I could be that brave," she said softly. "You can," Kendra replied without hesitation. "Bravery isn't about not being scared. It's about standing your ground when it matters most." Just as Tara was taking that in, the locker room door opened again. The middle-aged woman from earlier peeked in. "Sorry to bother you," she said gently. "I just wanted to thank you. You handled that whole thing with such grace. Honestly, it made me think about how often I let people push me around." Kendra gave her a small, warm smile. Standing up for yourself isn't always easy, but it's necessary, not just for you, but for everyone watching. The woman nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "You're right. I think I needed to see that." Kendra slung her gym bag over her shoulder. "We all need reminders sometimes," she said. She stepped out into the cool evening air, feeling a quiet sense of peace. None of what happened was planned. But maybe, just maybe, it was meant to be. Maybe someone in that gym needed to see what real strength looks like, not in muscle, but in staying calm, staying grounded, refusing to let ignorance win. As she walked to her car, she knew the story wasn't just hers. It belonged to everyone in that gym. who would go home, thinking a little deeper, about courage, about judgment, about respect. The gym slowly emptied out that night, but the memory of what had happened stayed fresh in people's minds. Conversations sparked among regulars, some replaying the scene, others thinking about how they reacted, or didn't. Why did they stay silent? What would they do differently next time? The incident had triggered something deeper than just shock. It made people reflect on their own assumptions and their silence. Tara, still shaken but inspired, sat behind a counter after her shift, scrolling through her phone. A video someone recorded had already gone viral. Comments poured in. She handled that like a pro. This is what strength looks like. Why didn't anyone step in sooner? It wasn't just about what happened. It was about what it showed. People often judge others too quickly because of ego, bias, or ignorance. But Kendra had shattered all of that, with skill, with calm, with quiet power. Meanwhile, Kendra sat at home, tea in hand, her dog curled up at her feet, her phone buzzed with messages from gym members thanking her, praising her, asking for advice. She appreciated their kind words, but didn't see herself as a hero. For her, it wasn't about attention. It was about doing what's right, no matter how small the moment. The next week, she returned to the gym, like always, humble, focused, low-key, but things were different. People greeted her with more warmth, more respect, smiles, nods. Tara came over, nervously handing her a card. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said. "You've really inspired me." Later at home, Kendra opened the card. Inside was a simple note. "You reminded me that strength comes in many forms. Thank you for showing me what it means to truly stand tall." But it wasn't just Tara who learned something. Everyone who saw what happened, or even just heard about it, took something with them. A lesson: respect is earned, not assumed. Strength isn't loud, it's steady. And real courage means standing tall, even when you're expected to back down. As for the man, he never came back to the gym, whether it was shame or fear. No one knew, but the impact of his actions lasted. Not the one he hoped for, but one that reminded everyone. What happens when ignorance meets resilience? As Kendra thought back on everything, one thought stayed with her. Maybe the world doesn't need more heroes. Maybe it just needs more people willing to stand their ground and demand the respect they deserve. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder about the power of self-respect, inner strength, and calm courage. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire, challenge, and stay with you long after they end.